Jones says it's the reasonable thing to bring Shamima back to the country. What do you think?
Well, Dan, thanks for having me on the show today. I have to say that Owen Jones really is living in some kind of parallel universe if he thinks it's reasonable to bring a figure like this who's run off and joined ISIS, who has no right, frankly, to return to the United Kingdom. It's insanity, I think, to suggest that she has the right to British citizenship still, that she has the right to return to the United Kingdom. She belongs, frankly, in the Syrian camp where she is right now. She has betrayed her own country. She ran off to join a brutal, monstrous Islamist terrorist organization. This idea of bringing her back to the United Kingdom is complete and utter folly. I think it's very offensive, really, to all the victims of ISIS terrorism. And yet again, I think Owen Jones is speaking complete and utter nonsense.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it, Niall? Because until today, Starmer said Begum should be back in the country too. And we should never forget that if Starmer were Prime Minister, Begum would be back in the country. And that also means, Niall, we would have had 160 other jihadis back in the country too. And I think that's why the Labour government poses such a security threat.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, you know, Keir Starmer is a complete flip-flopper. Not long ago, of course, he was defending the right of jihadists to come back to the United Kingdom. Do we want to have these Islamist jihadists running around the UK posing a security threat? We certainly do not. We have to have secure borders, and we have to take very firm and decisive action against those who have betrayed their country, those who pose a significant security threat to the British people.
Jenny Barnett, you strongly disagree. Do you think it's the reasonable thing, though, for Begum to come back? Because it doesn't feel reasonable to me.
I think it's humane. I don't think either of you are taking into account who this girl is.
Oh, I am.
Brought up in Bethnal Green. Her father, yes, is Bangladeshi. Bangladesh says she does not have dual citizenship. Were she to go out there, they would execute her. She is the daughter of a single woman from Bethnal Green, and she was radicalized. And she was groomed. And she was trafficked. And she was taken out to that place.
No, she wasn't. She chose to go. What are you talking about, Jenny? This was a very intelligent student who, with her friends, conspired to go and join the Islamic State. By the way, Jenny, after they had started beheading Brits, beheading British aid workers, she decided to go there after that. Who trafficked her? What are you talking about?
I'm not defending certain aspects of who she is, but she's a British citizen. And today, it was quoted today that foreign governments have brought back families of ISIS terrorists, recognising their constitutional rights, as well as implicitly admitting that such people are their responsibility. We're not doing that. A humane, mature position eludes this government who prefer to demonise and fearmonger. Everybody deserves to have somebody stand up on their behalf and fight for them. Who's going to do it for this girl? No, she should not, Nile, be wandering around in a North Syrian camp. She's 23. She needs to stand up. She needs to be tried. She needs to learn.
But she won't be tried. Niall, isn't that the issue? She won't be tried in this country because, actually, we don't have the evidence for the crimes that she committed in Raqqa, including, by the way, sewing on the vests of suicide bombers.
Yeah, exactly. It would be very, very difficult, actually, to put her on trial in the United Kingdom. She is not actually a British citizen anymore. She lost that right several years ago. So she's not a British citizen. I think let's point out the reality of that fact here. And you know, I think someone who runs off to join one of the most evil, barbaric organizations known to man does not have the right to some kind of trial here in the United Kingdom here. That's absolutely ridiculous. The priority, as the Home Secretary has made clear, Suella Braverman made clear, the priority is to protect the British people, defend the national security of the United Kingdom.
Indeed. And Jenny, I want you to respond specifically to that point, because what Niall is saying is correct. MI5, Jenny, still say that Shamima Begum poses a threat to British national security. So why do folk like you believe that you know better than them?
not believe I know best. I find this confusing. I find it heartbreaking. The first question that comes to mind is she had 3 children. They all died. She's 15.
Yeah.
She's been manipulated. She's become a manipulator. We are now in a situation we will never know the truth. And the question that comes to my mind is, if you believe or do not believe in any kind of God, who a magnanimity has to take place, where we have to be looking, I wrote down 3 words, we have to have tolerance, forgiveness, and compassion.
Okay, Jenny, think about this. Think about this. It has been reported by the Daily Telegraph this week that, Jenny, just hear me out and I'll let you respond. It has been reported by the Daily Telegraph this week that more Brits are now returning to Syria to join terrorist organisations. What message do you think it sends to young teenagers potentially sitting in Bethnal Green tonight thinking about going down the Shamima Begum path if they know that we are a soft touch as a country where if it doesn't go well over with the terrorist organisation, they will be allowed back to this country? Think about that.
That's what I'm saying. If the child, she's young, if that young woman were to be stood in a dock, don't shake your head.
She's 23.
Yeah, if she is tried legitimately over here, then she stands and we see somebody who has to see the error of her ways. But what we're doing is we're wiping the floor. Nobody wants to know. And so the left are demonized and then the right are demonized. Nobody is coming together. And I think security challenges are changing and society has to move on. We should not be saber rattling. We have to be more humane. And our decisions have to reflect that.
That's the actress and the broadcaster, Jenny Barnett, and before that, the Conservative commentator, Nile Gardiner. So who do you agree with? Is letting Shamima Begum back into the UK actually the reasonable thing to do, as Owen Jones believes? From Tony on Twitter, I think we need to take responsibility for her, bring her back and lock her up. From Dukan on Twitter, no, the courts have ruled that her return could pose a significant threat to our country's security and we should not question that. And Angie says the Manchester bombing victims and the beheaded charity workers won't come home, so she can stay in her beloved Syria. And your verdict is now in. Just 10% of you agree with Jenny Barnett that letting Shamima Begum back into the UK is the reasonable thing to do. 90% of you disagree with that Owen Jones statement. A statement, by the way, backed up by Keir Starmer until today, which I think we shouldn't forget.